Okay, welcome to this week's edition of the Ground and Pound Show. I'm here with the host of the show, Andy Clearman. How are you, Andy?
Doing good, Jim. How's it going tonight?
Good. I'm Jim Jenkins, the co-host, and we've also got in studio Sensei Jay D'Amato. How are you?
I'm doing great.
And Steve Knogle also here with us tonight.
Nice to be back.
There you go. And Jan helping out with the filming.
Spielman, our new studio engineer.
There you go.
And Steve's in a really good mood tonight too. I really
Yes.
Got him all riled up.
I'm in a wonderful mood. What are you talking about?
We have a guest at the door.
Somebody's knocking.
Somebody's knocking.
Dave's not here, man.
Who is the mystery guest? Let's start with our mystery guest. Mike Rogers. Does he have a sandwich? That's what I want to know. If he doesn't, we got a sandwich for him in the break room.
Let's talk about where we all were Saturday night at the Cage Ready event over in Alton. That was their first event. They've been here for a couple weeks talking about that upcoming event.
Yep.
Border Wars, and it finally happened. Outdoor event. Seemed like it was a really good show. The last two were freezing. The weather was bearable until the last two headlines.
I think the overriding theme is outdoor shows are best done in warm weather. You know, I mean, that's what they suffered from. I mean, it got slick later. The fighters' feet were going numb.
That was uncool.
I think the venue is
I had a meeting with them today already.
They changed their rules as a commission. That's what my understanding.
Well, they're changing the rules and everything else, and they said they immediately came up with the idea of no fights between September 15th and April 15th.
Or March something.
And I said, no.
It was April.
There should be a event. But St. Louis has beautiful falls and springs and everything else is, and if you want to have it, it's just that we got to pick a temperature. If it's under 50 degrees, you can stop the fights, or if it's under 50, but whatever we
You have to
decide.
have an alternative to get in.
You have to have an alternative. There are, you just say, that's it, guys. The temperature drops. Or have the fights earlier in the day.
Well,
Yeah.
I was
You
gonna
gotta make some kind of
it can be
adjustment.
cold outside, but let's do it during the day, and you won't get the condensation.
Right. But I mean, if it's like, what is the thing? Is it 50 degrees? Is it 55 degrees? Because I don't know what the chill factor was that night. It was 39 degrees, and with the chill
39
factor.
degrees outside plus a breeze.
So what was the chill factor?
I don't know, but it was cold.
It was cold, and this was ridiculous. Absolutely. So they immediately, that's a good. But they said we wanted to call it, but they didn't have it in their rules, and the promoters didn't want to call it, and the fighters were tough enough that they said, "I'll try it."
Yeah.
And I wish they would all sort of got together and just said no.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't have been bad for any of them.
Yeah.
They all got together and said, "What do you guys think?"
I like the promoters a lot.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, they were
And that's
trying
why
to
we
do
did
it.
it, you know.
They did a good
If it would have been somebody else, that would not necessarily have gone through with it. But it was their first event. They realized that it was too late, and they felt bad about it, and did their best to take care of the fighters. You got to be inside all night until the time that you fought, so that was good.
Well, like I say, live and learn. I mean, it's one of those things where I still think the venue's interesting. I think they can put on some good shows there.
Yeah, the
They
food's
just
awesome.
need to either do it in warmer weather or earlier.
And if it's cold, then you need to wear shoes.
Well,
They wear a wrestling shoe or something.
They originally wanted to do it in September,
Right.
and things just happened, and this being the first event. But I think they asked for a lot of help from a lot of people. They were smart enough to do that. They did a pretty good job. Like a lot of first timers, the show ran long. It got started late.
That was part of the
That
problem.
was a
Contributed
big
to
mistake
the
to
last
start
two
that
fights.
Honestly, that was the biggest factor. If you took that other hour off,
We'd have been okay.
it was the last
All the
hour
fights
where it
would've
got
been
real
okay.
slick. That's where we hit the dew point and everything started, slicking up real bad. If they started on time, we might have got away.
Even if
with
they
those
hadn't
last
taken that
couple
last intermission, it would have made a difference.
Right. But they
That was
did.
a
But it was still
long
too
last
cold all night.
They
Oh,
did a
yeah,
good
for the fans
Where,
and everything.
these guys, if you want these guys to go and fight a technical fight, you can't sit there and we're all in gloves. All the people around me had gloves on. Everybody had hoods on. Everybody had this, and they're in their underwear.
And everybody's, instead of having a good technical fight, is brawling.
Right.
Because they really couldn't do what they wanted to do.
Well, Brawler had the best chance out there.
Absolutely.
Anybody that was highly technical, they were numb and they were just trying to survive and try to do it without getting hurt.
I thought it was some good fights. I
Good
thought
fights.
the
Yeah,
guys
absolutely.
really showed an ability to do some decent matchmaking.
I like the little guy that fought Jordan.
Oh yeah, Elijah.
Man, he went out
Blind
there.
Dog MMA?
He went out there and he looked like, and I'm not trying to insult him, but he looked like nothing.
Right.
And then he kind of hung, and he didn't take a lot of damage. He covered up on a lot of big shots, and he slowly wore him down. And then he just turned around and just beat his ass in front of everybody.
Did you
I
see
saw
that right
Elijah in his
cross,
first
a right
fight.
hook?
That wasn't his first one. He was.
No, his first fight was back at James Marino's.
Oh, okay, you did see that.
And I saw that fight, and he is like a completely different fighter. So that says a lot for Blind Dog MMA. That guy is completely changed since
He
4 or
was a tough
5
little
months
guy. I
ago.
enjoyed his fight. I like watching him. Everybody would have picked. Trust me, if they were betting at the tables, they weren't betting on him as soon as they shook
Right.
hands. But he turned it around and just completely took control and dominated that fight.
Well, he came on our show, and I think at the time he was 3-4 or 3-5, and I know he fought up in
He like
Springfield.
lost his first 3 and then won the next 5.
Yeah, he's coming along pretty good. He's tough.
Well, I liked him. I did. I enjoyed him. He showed a lot of heart, and he wasn't a technical specialist by any means, but he showed heart and common sense, and he stayed calm in situations, and then he just wore him out.
Some things that are hard to train. Well, Jordan didn't help himself. He threw everything from center field.
Yeah, Jordan's got potential. He really is. He's got the mechanics, not the mechanics, but
He's
the
a
physical
decent athlete. Got the big
attributes.
6'6" at 175 pounds, can cut to 170. He hits hard, but you see it coming because he's not slow. He just doesn't allow himself to have any speed. Because everything comes from.
He backs everything.
And then when you miss it, it's exhausting. And he just tired himself out.
Well, he needs to work on his cardio, because that's seriously lacking. In the 2 fights I've watched him back to back, he's less than a 1-round wonder.
Right.
He's done by about the second minute, and he needs to work on it. He's a young guy. He looks athletic. He's got to put some time in the gym and get that cardio up. I think he'll start to have more success.
Yeah, I think so too. He moved here from Nebraska with a verified record of 6-2, and they were unsanctioned. Not fighting the same quality of people, evidently, that he's getting here because he's dropped his first 2 here.
I would bet that out of those fights, they rarely went past a minute.
Right. Oh, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Yeah, but they had a real good crowd, though. A lot of people the other night. I don't know how many were there. What do you think, 650 or something like that? It seemed like they had a really good.
Looked like it was close to 600 people out there,
Yeah.
considering there was a Cardinal baseball game that night.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I'm not sure how many were there, but I think people had a good time. Even though they were cold.
Right.
A lot of our people were there watching fighters, and they all said the same thing.
What a great night to be a shirt company with hoodies.
Yeah.
So,
Just another
They just
hoodies,
opened the
gloves,
fight, they
hoodies,
made
gloves,
nothing
and hats. Yeah, that's all they should have sold.
Yeah.
But
I think that's all they did actually sell.
Yeah.
I look
Yeah,
forward
could I
to
have 6 T-shirts? I would have put them all on at once.
Yeah. I look forward to them. They're talking about doing 1 or 2 shows a year, and I think they'd be a good addition to this area. They'll do a good job. And one of the things I like about them is that over in Illinois, which we're going to be talking about later after Brad Witt calls in, but they didn't have to get a sanctioning body, and they did because they knew they're not experts in all the other things that go with fighter safety, so they spent the money to get a sanctioning body, and that was impressive.
Yeah, it was a good thing. They weren't required to do blood work in the amateurs, but they still required blood work.
No, they are required.
No, they're not
They
required.
are required.
In Illinois, they are
Yes,
required.
They are required to still do all the rules. There's just nobody there to enforce it. Now, if the guy shows up, it's $5,000 per person.
Okay.
Now we're gonna-
They said just last week that they weren't required, but they were still doing it.
No,
They-
they're required. No,
they
they're
could be
required.
wrong.
They're absolutely. There's just nobody to give the results to.
Well,
Explain yourself that.
we've gone through this 15 times, it seems like, and every different person has a different answer when they talk.
Well, I called Rob Hines,
Right.
head of the thing over there, and he called me back and said, here's exactly what the rules say. And here's what they are, and I just got done with the meeting with them, and he's just went to another one and called me after that and said, here's what you're gonna expect.
How long is the blood work good once they get
A
it?
year.
Right.
1 year.
Now, is that from the time they take the blood, or
For
is that
pros, it's
every
actually
year?
6 months for
For amateurs, it's 1 year?
a year, yeah.
That should be the opposite. Well, I don't know. Hard to say who would be.
They both need the same,
Yeah, they
whatever.
both need. They both need.
They're all the same.
22-year-olds don't change sex partners in a year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
They-
But
they
is it a
test
year
them
from the
every
date you
week.
get it, or is it every year you have to do it?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is it a year from the date you got it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
12 months.
Carlitos Jones will be happy.
Yeah, I just keep him in a file. Did they fax his over? I haven't even checked my fax machine.
I have a copy for you.
Okay. Because I just keep him in one big file. It's easy. That way when we schedule something, I know I've got the blood work on everybody.
Ended up signing the wrong paperwork when he was over there, and so he had to actually drive over and get a copy.